Hands down, based on our viewers and responses, one of the most requested and loved foods is salmon. And today we're doing it in a fantastic, easy, and healthy way. We are making herb and citrus crusted salmon. We're going to take a look at our ingredients, but before we do that, we're going to preheat our oven, or we already have preheated our oven, to 220 degrees centigrade, or about 425 Fahrenheit, because that's where we want to. Our salmon is going to be baked in the oven at 425. So let's just take a look at our ingredients. It looks like a few ingredients, but it's really very, very simple. So we've got our salmon, and these are about 6 to 7 ounces each of the pieces of salmon. And what we're going to do is we're going to coat that salmon with a honey and mustard mixture. And I really would encourage you to use a really, really good organic honey for this, because the flavor really makes a difference. You're not using it just as a binder, but you want the flavor of a really good honey as well. So we've got some honey, and then we've just used a regular mustard. You could certainly use a Dijon mustard if you'd like for a little bit more spice, but any honey and mustard mixture would be fantastic. We're just going to set those aside, and that is going to be used to actually coat our salmon. And then we're going to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then once we do that, we're going to put our salmon in the refrigerator, let it hang out in there for a little bit while we prepare the rest of the ingredients. And the rest of the ingredients are parsley, and we've got some cilantro here, and some fresh dill. So all of those things together, and actually we're going to add a little bit of our fresh dill into our coating, into our seasoning mix for the salmon. And then the other part of our crust, it's going to be actually, I think I said citrus, so it's going to be some zest of orange. We'll probably zest half of this orange, and then probably most of the lemon. And then we've got some panko breadcrumbs that we will use to make that breading with. And then we'll season it a little bit with a little bit of turmeric and a little bit of paprika. And again, these are my chosen seasonings for this one. Try it this way the first time, but if you feel like you want to add a little bit of spice to yours, or if you want some different herbs, absolutely, feel free to do that. But that's what we'll do today. So the first thing we're going to do is coat our salmon. So we just did a mixture of our honey and mustard, and look at that beautiful color. And let's just give it a wonderful flavor. Very good flavor with that organic honey. It really makes a difference. Really, I can't stress that enough. To this, we're going to add a little bit of fresh dill. And so we just, we're going to put this in to our coating mix, and we'll have some dill as well in our breading mix. But let's start by adding that coating mix. And what we'll do now is we have rinsed and we've dried our salmon with paper towel. So as you can see, it's dry. It's important that you do this. Make sure your salmon is dry. So now what we're going to do is just simply take our spoon, and we're just going to coat the salmon. And again, we're using this kind of really as a binder for the salmon, or for the crust. And again, we'll have the quantities of everything in the description below. And now let's just season our salmon. A little bit of salt and a little bit of fresh black pepper. That's good to go. We're just going to put this in the refrigerator while we finish the rest of our breading mix. Our salmon is resting in the refrigerator, and we'll just prepare our crust now. So it's always best, if you're using fresh herbs, to chop those at the very last moment before you're going to use them. So we'll start with our parsley. And I found the easiest way to get the parsley, if you don't want the stems, is just to place your knife along the bottom of the parsley where the greens start, where the leaves start, and just pull back on it, just like that. And you'll certainly get some stems in, but that's going to give you most of the leaves. And then you can just pull the rest of it away. My parsley has been sitting out for a couple of minutes and it's looking a little bit dreary, but it's going to be fine. And then just give it a nice chop. And with parsley, you want to make sure you have a nice nice sharp knife, because otherwise, if you chop it with a dull knife, it's going to turn black and just not be very attractive. And now we want this to be quite fine because it's going to be a part of the breading. So we're just going to rock our knife back and forth over it to get it nice and fine. Okay, parsley's done, and we will just place that in our bowl, and we'll do the same with our cilantro and the rest of our dill. So we will just chop those up and add those to the bowl. Okay, once we've got our herbs done, we can now do our zest. And so I've got an orange that I've washed, so we're just going to use our microplane grater to zest this. And it's really best if you use a grater that is a very, very fine one, so that you're not getting any of the pith. All we want is the zest. So we will do this to make sure we get about a teaspoon. And there we have our zest. And we'll just use the back of our spoon. And the same thing with our lemon. Now you could certainly do some lime zest as well if you'd like for this. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to use my zester actually upside down so that I can actually see the quantity that I'm getting. And that is enough of our lemon. And that's it for our zest. And we're going to season this with a little bit of our paprika and a little bit of our turmeric. And let's just give it a nice stir. We'll use a small whisk for this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drizzle in my breadcrumbs just to give me the consistency. I'm just going to start with that, and then we're going to drizzle in a little bit of our olive oil. I'm not sure that I mentioned the olive oil before, but let's drizzle in a little bit of our olive oil. Oops. And we're looking for, a crumbly consistency, something like that. So that's it for our coating. Okay, we've got our breading mix done, and I actually took a little pinch of it and tasted it, and I can tell that it needs just a little bit of salt, so I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of salt to that crust. And there's nothing in it that can harm you, so there's no reason that you couldn't, taste that. It just tastes a little bit raw because it's raw herbs. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll spread this into our dish. So we've got our baking paper lined sheet, and we're just going to oil it just a little bit. And I'm just using some grapeseed oil for that. And we will place our salmon on it, and let's do our second one. And place that one on the sheet as well. And we are ready to go into the oven. And we're going to give it about 12 minutes, and then we'll check it with a fork. We're going to flake it. You could certainly use a probe, a instant read thermometer, but it's just as easy to use a fork and just see if a little bit of it flakes. And we'll check that in about 12 minutes. Okay, that's our cue. We are ready to check our salmon. Let's give it a look. It smells absolutely divine, and look at that. Looks beautiful. Let's just give it a little bit of a, yes, look at that. Flakes beautifully. I don't know if you can see that, but it just flakes beautifully with our fork. I think we're good to go. Let's get it plated up. And we are plating this today with some wonderful puree of sweet potato. And then we'll just finish this with some of our dill. Just put a little bit of our dill around. And then we're just going to top it with some wonderful frizzled leeks. Just for a little bit of crunch. And by the way, you can get the recipe for these frizzled leeks, which are absolutely delectable, and you just can't keep your hands off of them. They are addictive, and you know, they're fairly healthy for you. But just right above, you'll see the video for the frizzled leeks, and you know, it's a wonderful way to finish dishes, to top things, and it's especially great for this because you've got some soft puree, you've got you know, a medium crunchy crust, and then you get a little bit of crunch from the frizzled leeks. And you can also get the recipe for the puree right up above as well. Okay, well, let's give it a taste test. Absolutely delicious. That nice crunch from the panko breadcrumbs, and the seasonings. You know, you got a little bit of spice from the mustard. Oh man, a little bit of sweetness from the honey, and then this sweet potato puree. You know, you could certainly serve this with a nice butter sauce or some other sauce, but it's really nice with the puree as well. Add some of the leeks in there, that fresh dill. Man, that's a real winner. I really hope you'll give this a try. It is, as you can see, so simple, so very healthy, and just so delicious. This is a great one to do, you know, maybe the day before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving or Christmas, when you've had a big heavy meal or you're going to have a big heavy meal. This is delicious, healthy, and it's not heavy. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up down below, and be sure and subscribe to our channel. It's absolutely free. And when you subscribe, ring that bell. That way you'll get notified every time we release a new video. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Most requested and loved, no, hands down one of the most requested and loved, what is it? Foods?
Seafoods, dishes, recipes.
Yeah.